Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Tally's Movie Reviews. I'm debating on changing the name. Uh, I don't know. Maybe once I start getting more videos up and stuff, I'm considering changing it to something else. Tally's Movie Reviews doesn't really, I don't like it. But we'll see. I've wanted to get back into this again. I need more time to think of how I'm going to do this. I've bought a lot of stuff recently to get just to get kind of like a little studio going in my place. I bought some background stuff, bought some lights, bought a lot of stuff. Man, I just messed up my hair big time. Um, but yeah, just in general, getting some other stuff to just kind of make it look a little more professional instead of hanging out in this garage that does not belong to me. Um, So we'll see how that goes. I'd like to get somebody more consistent to be on with me. Right now, I'm just going to do this by myself because I don't really have anybody else to do it with. I definitely want to do a Rings of Power one because that show had a massive turnaround. I hated the first season. Second season is so much better. Now, granted, um, it's not a brilliant show, but it's so much better than that first season, and they've done some things right. So today I want to talk to you about Transformers 1 that I had no expectations for at all. I was not expecting it to be much of anything. I seen trailers for it and the marketing was just awful. They really, really pushed this movie to seem like a kids movie. And it is a kids movie. It's an animated movie, but there are some adult themes in this movie and it's a predictable story. You can pretty much right off the bat guess who the bad guy is, guess how it's going to end, but it was the characters that made that movie. Like so basically if you don't know anything about Transformers 1, it's an animated Transformers movie. It takes place on Cybertron, which is like their home planet. It's about their younger days, and how they became Transformers. Uh, and basically they're him and Megatron. Well, that's not their name. I can't remember what they call them, but basically, they're just grunt guys who work in the mines and they're best friends. And you actually believe it. You believe that they were friends at one point, and it's just interesting on how they made those characters work, especially in an animated film. And you can tell it was a little rushed. Like there's some scenes that were rushed, but even though the movie was rushed, you still felt for some of these characters. You felt for Megatron and how he was dealing with emotions. So basically, the gist of the story is, they're lone miners, and they have these other people that are higher ups, and those are like the Autobots. Like they can transform, they can do anything. Whereas these miners, they can't transform. They're just miners. That's your job. So they enter a race to try and prove that they can be more than just miners. They can be something else, and they get the fancy of like one of these guys who's a prime, or yeah, who's like a prime, and they gain his fancy. He talks to them. Needless to say, that these guys get in trouble and they get thrown down the trash chute with a Bumblebee, who I can't remember what actor. It's one of the Key and Peele guys. I want to say it's Jordan Peele, but I could be wrong. Let me fact check that. I'll put it up in the little window right here. But he's awesome as Bumblebee. I like him. I think he's funny, and his little friend A Tron, who I thought was hilarious. A Tron. But yeah, the Bumblebee's a good character. And the problem with a lot of these trailers is they focused a lot on Bumblebee, but they took his character out of context a lot. You know, when you're doing a trailer and you take a funny joke, and especially a character that acts a certain way, but you just take snippets of that person, um, it can be a little frustrating sometimes with how they're portrayed. Anyway, so like the trailers made B out to be an annoying Jar Jar type character. But Bumblebee's actually a good character, and it's just a lot of this movie took clips for the trailer and tried to make it seem like it was a fun adventure film, but I felt like they didn't do the proper justice to this movie, because this movie is good. It deserves to do better, and I think people should go see it. I would recommend going to go see it in the theater because I would very much like to see a second. And who knows, maybe word of mouth will get around. And that's the only reason why I went to go see it. I heard it was good, and I heard it didn't have all these, agendas in it at all. So that's why I was like, it's like, it seems like just a good kids movie to take my niece and nephews to. And that's what I did. And they actually enjoyed it. They had a blast with it. Anyway, getting off topic here. So basically Bumblebee and him, and Megatron and Optimus Prime are all talking. And they find, it's kind of a coincidence, as soon as they get thrown down there, they find a hidden message, from one of the primes. It was like a distress signal. So like, hey, we should go out there and, try and find out what happened to the primes. It's a distress signal because they all died off. So then they go off, and needless to say, a lot happens in that process where they meet one of the primes that is still alive. They resurrect him briefly to kind of, tell them what they need to know to move the story forward. And basically what they found out is their life is a sham. The person that says that he is their prime is not actually their prime. He's a traitor, and they purposely took everyone's cores from them so they can't transform, so they can keep the people down, and they can mine, and they can pay tribute to this other race. Very deep lore that I actually don't really understand, but you don't need to. You don't need to understand all the lore. I don't know who half these people are or anything like that. And that's what a lot of people say that's great about this movie is they're like, wow, I was like, this is really deep lore that, I can't believe that they touched on it. Where, somebody like me who kind of is a casual fan of Transformers can come right in and still enjoy the movie. So they find out that he's actually, not who he says he is, and he's been paying tribute, and he's been taking basically the life force of their people and just giving it to, this alien race as tribute. And Megatron hates this. He feels betrayed. And this is where his character really starts pushing to being Megatron. Like, because after they learn the truth, this one prime gives the other Autobots their dead cores so that way they could transform. So that's basic. So he's like, you guys are basically the final hope, that you have to save Cybertron, from this evil and get the message back to the people. And in the meantime, Optimus is just, saying, like, we just need to stop him. We need to stop him and get justice, whereas Megatron just wants to destroy him. And that's where you start seeing their friendship pull apart, which it's good. It's a very good character development. And one thing that's kind of funny is they end up meeting Starscream, who's kind of funny because Starscream's always been kind of just Megatron's bitch the whole time that I've ever seen Starscream. Like, he's always just been Megatron's bitch. And sure enough, in the in this movie, they find these I would say like bandits, like Robin Hood type bandit Autobots. And basically their leader is Starscream. And, he's talking a big game and everything, and then he gets in a fight with Megatron, and Megatron just puts him in his place and immediately takes over the group of bandits, which it's kind of funny. It's because when I saw Starscream was kind of like the leader, I was like, I always thought of Starscream just kind of being Megatron's bitch. But anyway, so he ends up taking it over, and then they devise a plan to try and invade a Cybertron to try and, overtake this false prime. And then they all get captured. It's just typical, hey, people get captured, but then, they find a way to save the day. Optimus Prime is left behind, so he's able to kind of like, get a group of people together. I'm not going to go into the full like story, what's going on here, but when you think the film is over because the bad guy loses, you still have like another 20 minutes of just Optimus Prime and Megatron. And they just, it's kind of heart-wrenching to see their friendship pull away like that. And I've been at ends with some people who I thought were my friends, and, just from differences. And it was very interesting to see this movie kind of take that, but they're taking it to the extreme. You have your extremists, and then you have your, you have your Democrats, and then you have your extreme Democrats. Same thing with your Republicans and your extreme Republicans. you can't put them all in the same category. But it's the same thing. Like Megatron is the extreme like nope, like sure we overthrew the guy, but now it's like I'm in charge and everything needs to go through me, and Prime wasn't about that. Like Autobots get destroyed mercilessly in here. Like mercilessly? I don't know if I said that right, but anyway, no, like people actually just get absolutely destroyed, and it's pretty dramatic scenes. Like there are some tough scenes in here that are kind of dark action scenes. Anyway, I recommend just going to check out Transformers 1. You won't be disappointed. It's a good time at the movies. It's not that long. It's about, an hour and 30 minutes, hour 40 minutes. It's a good movie. I enjoyed it. I think there's a post-credit scene. I didn't stick around because I wanted to try and get the kids home. It was already kind of a long day. But yeah, definitely go check out Transformers 1. It's definitely like, I'm very much looking forward if they do a sequel, and I hope they do because I think it's worth it. It deserves a sequel. And we've had a lot of crap movies over the year, and I think that's one of the reasons why I stopped doing this, was just because it was getting like, what am I going to try and review this time? What am I trying to review this time? So I think I'm going to start getting a movie pass again. I had one for 3 months. I got rid of it. But now I think I took like a month off from it, and I think I'm going to get it back again because there's some good movies coming out that I really want to review. And TV shows. I want to try and catch up on some TV shows that I think are worth the time. Anyway, definitely go check out Transformers 1. I don't think you'll be disappointed. And if you do, then just leave a comment. Tell me what you think. So, all right, guys. Hopefully I'll see you on the next one. Hopefully I have a guest with me for the Rings of Power. I very much want to get somebody else on with me. But we'll find out. All right. Have a good night, guys.